everyone. Welcome back to Kick Your Boots Off. I'm Carrie Tello, and
I'm Klaui Varadi,
my co-host for episode 2.
Back again.
Back again.
Thank you for having me
again. She has a nice little intro for our Hungarian listeners.
Yes, if you're Hungarian, üdvözöljük a Kick Your Boots Off podcaston.
Heck yeah, dude. So we really spent a long time last episode just kind of chatting and catching up, which is great because we're kicking our boots off. We're debriefing. We're just vibing.
As friends do.
So this episode, I'm going to try and be a little bit more on my notes. So we can actually talk about something that hopefully is helpful.
And not just chatting your ears off.
But I do feel like our chatting was beneficial, hopefully, to someone, because hearing your story and how you got started hopefully will encourage someone else to do the same. So
I hope so.
So we can jump right into it. Chloe and I will have, when this episode airs, we will have just gotten home from San Fran, and I'm sure that wedding went amazing, and I'm so excited. But like I've said a couple episodes back, at the end of this season will have like a full update for everyone on all the travels, because now when this episode is coming out, Eric and I will be going to Japan.
Oh my god, I'm so excited for you.
I'm so pumped. I'm gonna be eating sushi nonstop.
Oh, send some my way. That's the one thing I can't have right now, you know?
Yeah. If you missed it last episode, Chloe is 7 months pregnant.
And can't have sushi.
And definitely can't have sushi. And definitely can't have a lot of things.
Can't go to Japan.
Shouldn't be getting on a plane, probably.
Probably.
Did you get cleared for that? Did you go to a doctor?
I have yet to ask my OBGYN about that because I'm scared too. Okay,
Why are you scared?
What if he says no?
Do you already don't like flying, huh?
Oh, no, I'm terrified of flying.
It will be fine. I love flying. I'm just going to let that vibe rub off on you, hopefully, because being in a plane is so cool. I think it's like the coolest thing ever, that we can be up in the sky.
Yeah, I could say things to turn that right off for you, but I'm just going to not. I'm just not going to say anything. Also, this comes from a girl who's been flying since she was like 3 months old, back and forth between America, and one of my flights is 12 and a half hours, and then I got on another plane and it's like 2.5, and every single time I'm just as scared. I've been prescribed Xanax, but then I'm scared to take the Xanax in case something happens, and I'm like freaking Xanaxed out. Like, I'm like, yeah, I fully have like paperwork about it, and I'm so scared.
Dude, sorry.
I'm fine as long as I don't feel the plane move. What I mean by that, turbulence.
Ounce of turbulence,
I'm like, I'm going straight to my notes and writing like my goodbye. Yeah.
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious.
Have you done that before?
Yeah, and I've written to Wyatt before. And
do you show him?
I text him. Yeah.
Oh my god.
But cool. What does make me so happy is that if Wyatt's there, okay, this is like what it's me being so hormonal. Being pregnant has made me realize how much peace Wyatt brings to me.
That's so
like,
sweet,
and what
though.
I kind of mean by that is like, let's say I go to a wedding and I'm like nervous about something. If Wyatt's just like standing in the back, I'm like, literally nothing can go wrong, you guys. Not one thing, because he's there.
Yeah.
And so, long story short, Carrie and I were supposed to go to San Francisco, and this is like alongside our trip that we're going on. And I was like, you know what? I'm really scared to get on a flight because
like originally it was just supposed to be me and Chloe.
It was just supposed to be her and I, but also like it's just been really hard for me to carry a lot of my things that I never want to bother I don't think a second shooter should ever be like mistaken for an assistant, because you're not there to assist me, you're there to make art with me.
Yeah, but
whatever.
How many times do I have to tell you?
Yes, I know.
I will take care of you.
I know.
I got
and
you.
I know you. And I know you would have. I totally know you would have. But I didn't want to put that on you, nonetheless. So I was thinking, like, okay, I'm really scared to get on this flight, like this late into my pregnancy, and it's only an hour, so I figured it's not that big of a deal. But I was like, you know what would make it totally fine? Like if Wyatt's sitting next to me. And literally, I was like, and I was this close to being like making up excuses in my head. Like, I'm just going to let Carrie go to San Francisco. I'm going to find a second shooter in San Francisco and let you associate shoot. And just because I know you would have just kicked ass. Like, like there was zero doubt in my mind that if that needed to happen, that I had to worry. But I was this close to like looking into that. But I was like, or Klaui Varadi Photography can write off another ticket.
Yeah,
and bring my husband with me.
Yeah.
And that way he can carry all my stuff. He can be the designated driver, especially because, well, long story short, you're gonna have to go to the groom, I'm gonna have to go to the bride, and it'll just be easier that he'll get to drop us off and pick us up when we need to go to places, and we'll just have like our own chauffeur for the weekend / bodyguard.
Yeah, love that for us, honestly. And San Fran kind of can get a little sketchy too, so
yeah,
I feel like having
especially a bunch of people have been like
Wyatt.
breaking into cars
Yeah.
and I was so scared to like leave our gear parked, or even just the car parked, the rental places, because I've just seen a bunch of TikToks of photographers specifically losing or getting their stuff stolen.
We're not going to be like in San Francisco, is
No,
it?
that's
the wedding
true.
is outside. So,
but we are flying into San Francisco.
But we are flying into San Fran and hopefully going to get some dank ass food in San Fran.
Oh my gosh. I also love San Francisco. I love San Francisco.
I just like the north coast of California.
But
anyways, sorry. See, we're doing it again. This is welcome to literally any FaceTime between Klaui and I.
It's like we are on FaceTime with everybody right now. In real life.
With an audience. Okay, so I posted in my story, like, if you guys have any questions for Klaui and I, or stories or hot takes or whatever. And I got one that I will read, because I'm going to save the other one, the horror story one, for you to read as our final little goodbye to this episode. But this person, maybe I'll keep it anonymous just in case. She said, ... if you realized too late that you don't really like a particular set of clients, like, what do you do?
Like, they booked you already and you're just not vibing with them?
I'm assuming if she's saying too late, that they have booked you.
Okay.
And I feel like I actually just dealt with this recently. Not fully like dealt with it, but I feel like sometimes obviously you book people and hopefully you're doing a phone call with them, at least, if not a FaceTime or a Zoom call or something, to like really pick up the vibes. But you kind of just gotta stick it out. Like, once people have booked with you, there's nothing really you can do but show up and try to make the most of it. Like, it's not like you can bail, you know?
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts?
I have a couple thoughts.
I see the wheels turning.
You see my mind is going somewhere. I have a couple of like opinions on this, I think, or like thoughts, I guess, not necessarily opinions. One of them, I think, is that I feel like as a photographer, you need to really utilize that phone call to get a vibe. And I think as photographers, most of us who go into this industry, we're pretty good at like understand, like getting a good vibe or any sort of vibe, reading people from a conversation. And even if it's just on the phone, I usually feel like I also, let me preface by saying, like, I feel like I've been really lucky to where I get off the phone with my clients and I'm like, I could see us like I want to hang out with this person like next week.
Yeah, totally.
Yesterday, a client texted me and she's like, Klaui, you're the best photographer friend.
How
and
cute.
I literally
I love that.
Her name is Jonah. I love her. Hi, Jonah, if you're listening. But she literally was just like, she called me her photographer friend, and I literally was like, that is so sweet.
Yeah, that is really sweet.
And I kind of feel like that's like, even when I'm on the call with my clients, I'm like, listen, like, obviously, and we live in such a big world, it's impossible to always get along with everybody and to always like everybody.
Yeah.
And not everybody is going to like you. But if you feel like on this phone call, like, you hang up and you're like, oh my God, this girl, like, even if she wasn't my photographer, I could see myself be friends with her, then you have the right person.
Totally.
And if you don't feel that way after you got off the call because you guys just didn't vibe, and you could even like adore that person's work more than anybody else's. If you don't feel like this person, that you'd want to be friends with this person, then I personally don't feel like that's the right photographer for you.
Yeah.
So I think to this person, if it's, I guess her question or his or her question is that if it's already booked and this is happening, there's a couple things. One, how far is the wedding out, and are the feelings mutual?
Yeah.
Like, do you think that the client is also kind of getting like, oh shoot, maybe I kind of made the wrong decision because we're just like not agreeing on things? Because at that point, I think you're doing a disservice to the couple if you already feel like things are not going to go well. And it's horrible to have to give a deposit back and have to like deal with all of that if that's the route that you're going to take.
It would be so worth it if you feel like the feeling is mutual and they're going to end up being more of a problem for you in the long run than just being like, hey, like, if you guys are having second thoughts,
let me know.
I want you to be as happy as possible with your wedding photographer. Like, it's a big decision to make. And like, just be willing to like be flexible with them and give the deposit back if you want to, because it will be worth it in the long run for sure.
That's kind of what I would say. Like, I would say something along the lines of, I think like, hey, I'm kind of feeling like we might just not be a good fit, and even if initially you felt that way, I feel like I would be worried that they wouldn't be happy at the end of the day because we're not vibing. I don't know, I feel like that's a really rare situation. Like, I don't know, that's truly never happened to me before. Luck, fingers crossed. Like, but I feel like if that was the case, that would be hard, because I would feel bad if it's a feeling that I'm feeling on my end. I think
and that's what I'm getting the vibe of, is like, it probably is just the photographer is just like, these are not ideal clients, but they really like my work and they booked me.
Okay.
Like, that's a completely different situation.
If we go with that story, if that's the story, I would say that you're feeling that way, you kind of gotta just suck it up. Yeah.
And hopefully, I feel like if you're figuring it out, either you're having conversations with them and you're like, this feels off, or you did an engagement shoot with them and you've worked with them in person already and the wedding is still to come, and now you're like, shit, I don't want to shoot their wedding. Like, that engagement shoot sucked. Like, now at least you have the experience of talking to them or working with them, where you can like kind of adjust based off of that experience and like try your very best to make the most of it, going into the next thing knowing, okay, they're a little bit stiff, or they're a little bit awkward, or they're a little bit whatever.
And that's our job, I think. To bring people's personalities out and make them feel comfortable. And sometimes people like really don't like photos, then you need to pivot your approach, because it's always easy to take photos of people who love to take photos, right? And who are so comfortable in front of the camera. But I just think, like, overall, you would just need to make sure that you're being professional and do the best possible job you can, and turn your kindness up a notch, like even more. And
also look at it like a learning experience. Like, when you work with hard clients, like, you're gonna get better at what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, you're gonna learn more about how to communicate and how to pose people who are uncomfortable. Like, you're gonna get better at what you're doing because you're being challenged. So you could also just look at it like a learning opportunity.
And just to kind of like, I guess to close it off, I would just say, like, I don't even know, like, that's it. I have nothing else. I was just gonna say, like, I just think that,
well, that actually is a great question to like transition us into a lot of the stuff I wanted to talk about today, because okay, so we kind of hinted at it. We were supposed to talk about this in the last episode, about how our anti-gatekeeping friendship has benefited our business in a huge way. And then we just got a little sidetracked and started talking about other things. But I have some like specific topics that I feel like I would love to go through and talk about, and just like share our knowledge with people that are listening, and our opinions and stuff.
I'm an open book.
We both are. That's the best. That's the best part. Okay, so we could, I feel like that whole topic was fully talking about like client communication too, but something that you and I talked about on the phone when we were preparing for the podcast was kind of about how like the law of attraction, like you get the clients that you are like similar to, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to talk about like how do we go about working with ideal clients, and what does that even mean?
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts? Initial thoughts.
Initial
What's
thoughts.
running through your head?
I guess what's running through my head is like, I don't even know how much intention was behind this happening. Like, and what I kind of mean by that is like, I didn't think to myself one day like, okay, I want to book clients that I feel like are so like me.
Yeah.
I never thought that like I would pick up the phone with, you know, let's say this week I had like 4 meetings with a bride, and I get on and she's like, hey, like how are you, nice to meet you, whatever, we have some small talk, and then they start talking about their story, and they're like, we're high school sweethearts, we've been together for 8 years, and I go, me and my husband have been together for 8 years. And then I got another call the next day, and then the guy's like, yeah, and I'm Hungarian and my wife's American, and I'm like, I'm Hungarian and my husband's American. I was like, it's like we're in the same boat. And then another call I got on, they're like, yeah, and I was I played volleyball in high school or whatever. And I'm like, I played volleyball in high school. And so I would get on these calls, and I'm like, I would find so much in common. If it wasn't one thing, it was another thing, or like
no, literally same. Like the fact that I have had 2 brides who are both daughters of cops.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are the odds that I would end up shooting weddings where the dads are cops?
Yeah.
Like, how does that happen?
Yeah.
It's so weird.
And that's the thing. Like, I feel like I would say 90% of my clients are high school sweethearts.
Yeah. Oh, a lot of mine are too.
Yeah. And then I talk to other people who aren't maybe high school sweethearts, and they're, you know, they're like, oh no, my clientele, they're like a little bit older, so they met later in life or whatever. But I kind of feel like all my clients are usually around the same age as me, and they met in high school, and they've been together for like 5, 6, 7, 8 years, like just like me and my husband have. And yeah, and it's something that I don't talk about it that much. Like maybe I've said it on, excuse me,
maybe. We're a little burpy.
Yeah, it's the baby.
I've been
me.
burping a lot. Sorry.
It's not me. It's the baby. But yeah, I don't know what it is. It's just, it's the law of attraction. Like it's just how it's been.
Yeah. So, okay, what are your thoughts on like trying to prioritize working with ideal clients and like trying to set yourself up for working with ideal clients? Like, how do you even go about that?
Yeah. I think my ideal clients, I feel like one of the top priorities is just like, I always want to work with like kind people.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That was my main thing. Like I just always want like just good vibes overall. Like not, and obviously like you're always gonna have like maybe a bride that's not as happy. We've definitely had our fair shares where like I feel like I'm trying everything in my power to make this day so special for you, but you're in your head about something, or you're overthinking things, and or maybe it's just like a really stressful day, or something happened, or something is happening, and you know, I don't maybe know everything that's happening behind the scenes, and so I just kind of show up there and I'm taking photos, but you don't even seem that happy. And I think like that, anyways, the reason why I'm saying that is because I feel like this brings up the topic of like the brides that I do get, I feel like are always so happy. And those are my ideal clients. I want to photograph people who are so happy and are excited that I'm there to capture their happiness, and the, you know, when they say I do, and the first kiss, and like the father-daughter dance if it's happening. So sorry, your question was like, how do you attract ideal clients though?
Yeah,
I think,
well, I liked what you were touching on. Like, okay, so to start, an ideal client for you is someone who is genuinely going to be a really happy person. Yeah. And I feel like an ideal client for me would be a couple who is very outdoorsy, adventurous, and like very go with the flow. Like not super hung up on details. Yeah. So those, like, just to like put in perspective for people, like when we're saying ideal clients, we're talking about like okay, those are the people that we really vibe well with, and we want to, we're going to end up having the most fun working with, really. And I don't think it's bad to have an ideal client, because there are brides, like couples out there for literally every single type of photographer. Absolutely. And there's a photographer for literally every single type of person. So that's why I like talking about this, because I feel like for a minute, well, when you first start doing weddings, you just like want to take every freaking thing you get your hands on, you know, like, and that I feel like in general is like a whole different side tangent that we can go on. But there is, I feel like, a lot of value in kind of being a little bit more selective with the people that you're working with, because overall you're going to end up giving them the best experience when it's people that you're really passionate about. So anyways, that was my just preface.
Even like, just to kind of touch on that, like, I love to travel, so I'm not saying that I don't love to travel, but obviously, like we discussed earlier, I'm kind of terrified of flying. So with Carrie, I feel like you have gotten so many clients that you've had the privilege of like flying out to them.
That's true.
And you have the best experience, and you like love exploring even like the town. And while I love doing that, the idea of me flying to all these weddings and things like going
traveling
wrong,
solo.
There's
just more margin for error.
Slowly, more margin for error. Like, what if the flights get canceled? What if I can't get, like, I overthink these so much that for me, I honestly don't even get that many travel inquiries, because I feel like it's not what I'm like putting out there. Because I feel like I would be less likely to say yes. I honestly probably just like send Carrie. I'm like, go book Carrie. She would love to fly out to Japan or wherever your wedding is happening. But I feel like for me, it's like, no, I'll drive to you. I'll drive wherever you want me to. But like, I do love to travel. I've literally been traveling my whole life. So I just want to say it's not that. It's just like traveling for a wedding gives me anxiety, because too many things are out of my control.
Which I mean, not to like throw myself under the bus, but I just like I don't think about the possibility of anything going wrong ever. I'm like, this is when I booked my flight, this is when it will take off, this is when I will get there, and this is when I will go get dinner. And then I'm on Yelp, and I'm figuring out where I'm gonna go to dinner.
And then Chloe's in your ear causing
and then
you
Chloe's
anxiety.
Like, are you gonna make your flight?
She's like, I think so.
Is your flight going to leave? Is it delayed? Are you okay? Did you make it there safely?
Me, I'm like, I leave 3 hours early for like a domestic.
I'm like, showing up to John Wayne at like 30 minutes before my boarding time.
Carrie, first of all.
And everything's fine. You get right on. Got that TSA pre-check, baby?
I did not end up getting it.
Oh, you didn't end up getting it? I'm going to leave you and Wyatt in the dust.
There's not going to be a line at John Wayne.
Sometimes
we'll see. We'll make it a race.
I think with my TSA pre-check, I might win.
No. Have you? No.
Okay. Anyways, ideal clients. I feel like we kind of covered that, setting the groundwork for that.
I think is also helpful, aside from everything that we kind of talked about, was that I remember when I was doing a bunch of grad shoots, but I wanted to be doing like other things, like more engagements, more maternity. You were like, don't post as many grad shoots and post more of the other things, and it'll just naturally come, and it did. So that too, on top of all the other things that we talked about.
What was I gonna say next? Let me check my notes. Oh, I wanted to talk about contracts, or I have so many things that I want to talk about, but I think contracts, because I feel like you actually have helped me a lot with my contract and just building my contract and making sure the proper things are in there to like protect myself. And I feel like, weirdly enough, you have had to deal with more things. But I have learned, like, from your experiences, the things that are very important to have in your contract. So Do you have anything off the top of your head that you remember you were like, I'm so fucking glad this is in my contract?
Yeah, and then I have an example of I'm so fucking upset that I didn't have this in my contract when this happened.
Okay, yes, let's hear it.
Okay, so I feel like one of the things that you would think is one of the obvious ones, but I also think that when I started out, I just didn't ever think this would be an issue until it became an issue. But it was asking for raw photos.
The raw images. No.
Yeah. This is such a controversial topic because
well, first of all, I just don't get why clients ever ask for those when you're paying a photographer to give you nice edited photos.
Yeah.
What is your thought process?
I think
when you ask for the raw images, like, what are you going to do? Put an Instagram filter on it?
Yes.
Like,
but
why
not
is
an
that
Instagram
appealing?
filter, but like, you know how some people have feeds that they put the same exact filter on and they want it to be like cohesive and exactly the same. Like, I for sure have had even grads back in the day that had a very specific feed. And I feel like Instagram has gone more natural vibey than it was in like.
Sorry, aggressive yawn.
Oh, need some coffee? Tea?
No, I just like the time change, really.
Oh, yeah. It's like 10 o'clock, right? If the time change didn't happen.
Yeah.
Really 10, 15.
It would be.
But yeah, I remember a situation where the client wanted all the raw footage and I didn't really know much about it. I mean, it was this pretty early on, but I was just like kind of taken aback and I'm like, oh, it makes you think like, oh, did they not like my editing?
Yeah.
Things
makes
like
me
that.
so insecure.
Yeah, it's just one of those like right in the chest, like just knife right in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I ended up like obviously putting that in there right after, and now I think my contract says like in all caps, like, under no circumstances
will you
receive any raw footage at any time for any reason. And I think one of the things I also did that obviously, like, when you send out a contract, and I feel like you've probably read contracts before and you're like, yeah, and we just talked about this, like, terms and conditions. You scroll to the very bottom, you hit accept. And that's it.
Yeah.
But I started putting initials next to them.
Oh,
next to, like, the most important parts, like when you will receive the gallery,
Initial.
late fees if you're late on payment, or if I'm not receiving payment or things like that, and it's been like a while. So there's initial next to it, and you cannot complete the contract or pay the deposit unless you initialed every single one of those. And by initialing, you are adhering that you I have a section that says, like, by initialing, like, I understand the following. So that was like one of the things that I feel like was really helpful, because it actually makes you like go back for a second and read it. And it is important things. Like, I feel like these things are in there, yes, to protect myself, but also to like protect the client too. It's really beneficial for the both of us. It's so that I am complying with everything, but so are you, type of thing. And so I feel like the raw footage was one that I put in very early on, but it was a big deal. And then
do you have anything in your contract about re-editing?
No, re-edit. I don't do re-edits.
Yeah, that's good. I like that.
Why do you want to put that in there for yourself?
No, I do have it in there for me, but
you don't re-edit.
No, I do. I will re-edit up to like 12 images or something, and then anything after that I charge per photo.
Wait, you know what? I actually do think I have something about that, but I think it says it's along the lines of I can do re-edits, but I think it's something like with 1 hour minimum build.
Oh, yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, mine's something like that too.
Yeah.
I don't even know exactly what's in my contract.
I
actually love talking about this kind of stuff, because I feel like having a good contract will save you so many issues. And I feel like, especially like when you're just starting out, you're so much more susceptible to having to deal with the clients that are like gonna put a freaking Instagram filter over their photo, or like not be tagging you. Do you have anything in your contract about social media?
Yeah.
That
I must be tagged. And there's initial next to that too, because if I'm not being tagged, I'm not being credited. And technically I own the copyright to the photos.
Right. So you need to have the credit.
Yeah. But that leads me to something that I wanted to touch on. But one of the things that I've recently had to bring up for a couple of weddings was the difference when, let's say, the bride's mom is paying for it.
Okay, I'm literally in the middle of dealing with something like this
so
right now.
The communication should always be between the bride, the groom, the photographer. I feel like a lot of times the groom's really like just kind of, I don't know if
he's just observing.
He's just there for a good time. And like, it's really rare that I've gotten calls where it's like, okay, let me check with my fiance and just make sure it's okay. I think I've maybe had like one or two brides like that.
Yeah.
And I'm always like, can't relate, because
you know who's calling the shots when your wedding is being planned.
Yeah.
It's always the bride.
With my wedding, poor Wyatt, he literally had no clue about anything. He just showed up. There was like some things he had opinions on, but yeah, let's be real, like I was calling the shots.
Yeah.
And that's just how it is. And I think like with weddings, it's like, if you are a guy who's been dreaming up his wedding since he was 10, you have every right to sit there with me.
Yeah.
The whole time and like tell me what you want. But
if you haven't,
which most guys don't, then
we keep eyeing AJ. He's like, yeah, no.
then I feel like it should be, and it's both of your guys' day, but I feel like these details are really things that we have thought about since we were little girls.
Yeah.
And played like husband and wife and bride and groom our whole lives, or at least I very much did.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, you're not about to have an opinion on something that I decided on like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and whether or not it was going to be you, that was the question.
Yeah.
That's what we didn't know.
Circle back.
Okay, so sorry could go off on a tangent, but basically I have it in my contract that regardless of who is paying, my communication lies with the bride and groom, and that is who this contract is with, regardless of whose credit card and who's paying for it. And the main reason for that is because I feel like a lot of times when you're paying for something as a parent, or maybe like a more like authority figure to the bride and groom, like a parent, you kind of feel like you have a right to call the shots about things.
Yeah.
But I think at the end of the day, even if as the dad or the mom or the parent or whoever you're paying, it's the bride and groom's day no matter what. It's their wedding day.
Yeah.
And so there was one specific wedding where the mom kept calling me like constantly about everything about the wedding.
There was a dad recently that was calling you.
Oh, there was that too. There was a dad, but there was more. So this was like, it happened a couple of times this season. And with the mom specifically, I was just like, the bride would say something and she'd be like, yeah, I really want this or whatever. And then the mom would be like, yeah, I feel like we shouldn't like do that. Like, I feel like the details are not that important. Like, we don't need you for like whatever. And then there I'm sitting and I'm like, I'm trying to be respectful, right? Because I know that you're paying for it and you're putting your hard-earned money and, paying for me. So I'm always like conflicted, but at the end of the day, like, that's not what your daughter wants.
Yeah.
So I had to send a reminder both these times. I was like, I understand that for the girl that your dad is paying, and then for the other bride that your mom is paying, but like, it's the communication is between you and I, because I want to make sure that I'm fulfilling everything that you envisioned for your big day.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's so good.
That's there too.
If you, obviously the contract is between just you and the bride and groom, but would you ever send an invoice or allow the invoice to be paid by a different, like the parent or something?
That is how it is. So basically the way that it's set up through Honeybook is that you can't even get to the invoice unless you sign the contract. Like, you literally cannot click next, which I feel like saves you a lot of times.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's a good flow of everything. Like, you've already initialed and signed.
Not me being like, okay, Honeybook would fully save me in this situation.
I feel like Honeybook would save your life in a lot of situations, but you've been putting it off.
I've been putting it off.
But to be fair, like, you get everything else, you pretty much, it's these like little things that
just the flow of it is really nice.
Like, not being able to get to the invoice without signing the contract, like, you can't do like the way that the flow of what you're doing through Pixie Cinema.
Like I just send everything.
You just
separately.
send everything, yeah. But for me, it's like I'm able to send the packages, the invoice, the contract.
It's all in one project
all
folder.
in one project. And now they even they integrated PickTime. So now their gallery with HoneyBook. So now HoneyBook and PickTime, you can like.
But you still don't use PickTime.
I don't use PickTime. But now I honestly am considering it because I was like, now it'll all be together, and like you don't even like they'll have access to their whole gallery like through
and
HoneyBook.
their project
with their contract and their invoice. And I feel like for bookkeeping stuff and for tax stuff, it's also really nice for me to have all that in there. But anyways, so that's like that.
We digress.
But so that's the stuff that I feel like I'm so glad that were in my contract. The one thing that I did not have in my contract, which I'm so sad about, but you also saved my ass. You really did. But basically, I had a client booked out of state, and I was so excited for this wedding.
She was originally in state.
Oh, you're correct. That's correct. So I booked this wedding, and I was so excited. I literally hit it off.
Also, can we give the backstory though too? Because I feel like for anyone else that has a close friend in the same business, the fact that we both
got an inquiry.
We got the same inquiry. I feel like this is a cool story.
It is a really cool story.
We got the same exact inquiry with the same bride. Actually, we had two back to back.
Well, we had a lot.
We had more than that. We've definitely had more than that.
But you always get the ones that you were meant to get, and I feel like vice versa.
Literally.
Every single time.
And it's so cool. But it is like, it's so funny that we're both like, one day Chloe has a call with this bride, and then the next day I have a call with the bride.
Yeah.
It's the same bride. And she's deciding.
We love her.
We literally love her so much.
We love her so much.
She's literally deciding between me or Chloe for her wedding. And she was originally going to get married in San Luis Obispo. And both of us were like psyched on shooting a wedding in the Central Coast. And they just seemed like the freaking sweetest people ever. Even on the phone, like the first time we talked to them,
like,
we were literally both obsessed with her and the groom. Yeah. Okay, so anyways, continue.
And so they ended up going with me. They ended up choosing me, and I was excited because like, choose me, love me. That's literally me with all my clients. But so basically they pay their deposit, and everything like is ready to go as far as like their wedding was in 2023, and this was like last year. So I think it was a few months in, I got an email from her, and she basically was like, hey, there's like so many things happening in our lives, like we're switching the date and we're now getting married in Knoxville, Tennessee.
I'm like
Oh, okay, I thought I shouldn't say that. Sorry, this is like outside of podcast. Like, am I allowed to say the location of her wedding?
Yeah.
Oh,
we could literally say it's Kennedy.
Oh.
Who gives a fuck? Okay. She knows what happened.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. I love her. Okay. We both obviously have a great relationship with her. Oh my gosh.
Now. Yes. That's an understatement. Like, I love her so much. I literally want to go visit her, by the way.
We should go.
She told me that me and Wyatt should go. And obviously you and Eric can come too. But she was like, you guys need to come and bring the baby. And we should like all go out to dinner. Yeah, and I'm like, oh my God, this would be so fun. But anyways, so she ended up booking her wedding in Knoxville, Tennessee. And I was like, oh my gosh, like that's so fun. Like no worries there. I might have like, a travel fee. But at the time, my mother-in-law was actually getting a job with an airline. So I even told her, I was like, honestly, I might be able to fly for free. Like it might not even be like that big of an issue. I just might need like lodging, like stuff paid for,
and like rental car
and whatever
whatever for the travel fee.
And she was like, oh my gosh, no worries at all, like that's absolutely no problem, like we're honestly so excited to have you like fly out and come be there. She's like, but I'll let you know about the date. And in my head at the time, like now hindsight, I'm like, I would never say this, like okay, sounds good, just let me know.
Yeah.
It's so crazy that I didn't think of it. But
Well, and you would think something like that's happening to you for the first time.
Yeah.
And your first thought is not going to be they're going to pick a date that I'm already booked.
Yeah.
So obviously you weren't like, you were probably thinking they're going to have the same date.
Yeah.
Like you're probably just assuming they're going to keep the same date or at least the same weekend.
Correct. And I had no idea that the wedding was going to be like moved that far out, or let alone like be moved to a date that I was already booked on. But yeah, I get an email then a couple months later saying that they found their dream venue and this was like the only date they had available. And it was a date that I was already booked on. Like I was booked like a year ago for that date. At that point.
That was like one of the first
that was one of the first weddings that I booked.
Yeah.
For 2023.
Super far in advance.
Super far in advance. And so I was like, oh, crap. I'm like, what do I do? I'm like, I mean, obviously I knew what I had to do, but I basically presented her with two options. And I said, well, one of them is like, I don't know, we can end, like, we can just like, you guys can cancel if you want and find another photographer, or I can get an associate shooter and she can fly out and also edit the photos. And she loved that idea, the idea that I would send someone else out who is at the same skill set as I am, and I would edit the photos. And she's like, because that way we still get to have like a piece of you, basically, is what she was excited about. And so I was like, okay, well, I think I'm gonna just, obviously, who else would I ask other than Carrie, because I literally would trust her with my life. But I was like, Carrie, like, are you available to go and associate shoot this wedding for me? And of course, like, I feel like just Tennessee and that whole vibe. Yeah. So I was like, this is honestly kind of perfect. South. She loves the South. And I was like, I've never been to Tennessee, but honestly, like, I whatever. I don't even know why. Sorry, quick pause. I've been like talking for so long. I'm like, I don't even know what I'm saying. No, you're good. Sorry. Let me get my thoughts together. No.
You're doing great.
Thanks. I just have to get what my point is here. Okay. So basically she was stoked and she goes, oh my God, Carrie, like, she was one of the girls that we talked to. But obviously, like, I already knew, I had like known that. We had already known that. And then, you went out, you freaking, I mean, words can't describe the job that you did.
It's kind of crazy because I feel like that's like one of the best weddings that I've ever shot, like with some of my best work that I've ever created. And
you were nervous for no reason.
And I was so fucking nervous because it was like it was a bougie wedding. Yeah. It was fancy as fuck. Yeah. They had a string quartet for their cocktail hour. Yeah. Like, oh no, not even. It was like pre-ceremony champagne on the lawn with a string quartet. I was literally like, I do not deserve to be shooting this wedding. Like, I am not on this fucking level. But seriously, like, you deal with the imposter syndrome. Yeah. And normally I don't. And when I do, I freaking do. And it was like, it was crazy. I like literally was so scared for my life. I'm like,
yeah, but you did an amazing job. Like,
thank you.
Oh my gosh. Like,
I think it's because the pressure was on, like, I've had that pressure on me and I was like, I have to do, I'm not just representing myself, I'm representing Klaui, and I'm holding myself to that standard for this wedding. So I don't think I would have done as good if it was just my wedding. Like, I think truly everything works out the way it's supposed to work.
That's how I felt about Anna Noah's wedding, though. Like, I was so nervous when I associated
and it was
for
so
you.
Good. You did such a beautiful job. It ended up
being pretty good. I was so proud of myself.
Bro, that wedding specifically was the wedding that I was like, shit, I need to make the bride put her date in herself and stop filling things in for them.
Oh, yeah.
Because this bride, so I had already had Klaui associate shoot for me before this whole Tennessee wedding happened. So when the Tennessee wedding came and that was the situation, it was, I feel like, probably a lot easier for us to figure out what to do. Yeah. Because I had already had you associate shoot for me and everything went totally fine.
Yeah. Well, also I feel like when you have a friend in the industry that you like trust and go to for anything, I literally could just text Carrie like, hey, I need you to go do this, and I wouldn't even have to tell her a single thing, and I just know with full confidence that she would just do an amazing job. Like, really, that's like how I felt about, like, there was 0 ounce of me that was nervous of you going out there. Like, I was if anything, I was like, oh, Carrie's just gonna handle it all for me, and I'll shoot the wedding here and it'll all be good. It was truly just such a, it was the easiest decision, obviously, but so yeah, and in the end it all worked out and it was perfect. And but that made me add into my contract that if you are moving your date or changing your venues, that
it needs to be approved. It needs to be if you've
checked
already
in
been
with
booked.
Check in with me, and then we can move an options. Like, let's say like a client does check in with me and I'm like, listen, I have no dates available, then that's a whole separate conversation.
Yeah.
But if like you're not even checking in with me because like you forget or you didn't think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, when you have vendors booked already.
Yeah.
You have to prioritize.
Yeah.
Those people because.
Yeah.
You've paid money already.
Yeah.
And they have probably turned people away for that same date or whatever it is.
And obviously I wish I could have been there, like, more than anything.
Yeah.
But I do think like everything happens for a reason, and like it worked out.
I ended up getting to do an engagement shoot for my other Tennessee couple.
Which is one of my favorite engagement shoots of yours ever.
It also is one of mine.
Oh my God.
as well.
The shots in the church with like the light on them.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It was money.
So good.
It was
so good.
Fire. And they're just such a freaking sick couple.
And you're shooting their wedding, right?
Yes.
Oh, so I can't wait to see those.
You should just come. We should go back to Tennessee.
Stop and say hi to Kennedy and Daniel.
Go say hi to Kennedy and Daniel.
And then go. When is this?
And then you can second shoot for me.
Perfect.
Oh, dude.
Perfect.
It'll be epic.
Oh.
Remind me after. I need to show you the venue that they're getting married at, because it's insane.
I hope I'm not booked already on this day, because it actually sounds so good.
I hope you're
and the
not
food you ate in Tennessee also, the restaurants that you went to.
Kennedy just gave me the best recommendations.
It looked so good.
She was so hospitable and like seriously, and just gave me all the cool places to go.
Also, they cook some like amazing things. I'm constantly
I'm obsessed with them.
I'm like,
they're like a famous. I feel like all of our couples, we just end up like fangirling over.
I know, it's so true. So true. We end up talking about them for like months and months and months.
So
like,
if you've worked with us, we're probably hyping you up to
each
the
other.
Other person.
Yeah.
Okay. I wanted to talk about pricing.
Okay.
Are you down?
I'm down.
Every time. Okay, pricing, or should I just pick a random one?
No, we can talk about pricing.
Especially when you're first starting out,
Mm-hmm.
pricing is a very weird thing
Mm-hmm.
to navigate.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you could just start us off. And so obviously you already have the experience of working with grads and
Mm-hmm.
doing smaller shoots
Mm-hmm.
before weddings.
Mm-hmm.
So when you booked a wedding, how did you figure out what the heck to price yourself?
Yeah.
Because I feel like my process in figuring that out was very random. And now I'm feeling a little bit more confident in my pricing, but I feel like it still is like an everyday like check-in. Like, do I feel like I am charging my worth? Do I feel like I am charging too much or too little?
Wow.
I don't know. It's just like a lot of things to factor in.
This is something I
like,
shockingly don't overthink at all.
Really?
Oh,
okay. Let's hear it.
I've actually
that.
never
This is
overthought
perfect.
my pricing. This like, wow, look at you overthinking things. So, okay. One of the things I think that a lot of photographers, when they're starting out, are kind of dealing with, I think, is they look at the gear they have.
Okay.
And they think like, okay, well, I have the same gear as this person who's been in the industry for 15 years. I think I have the right to charge as much as them because I'm producing the same like
Product.
level of product as far as like the megapixels, like the physical worth of the photo.
Mm-hmm.
But I think a lot more goes into that when you're going into your pricing, and I think experience,
Yeah.
the number of weddings, that you shot. And that's not to say like, oh, I've shot 10, now I think I can charge like $1,000 more, and then I shoot another 10 and I can bring it up another 1,000. That's not kind of what I mean, but I do mean like going through those experiences and learning curves. And even like, and I've spoken to photographers who have been in the industry for 15 years, and they're like, I literally learned something from a girl who's been doing this for 6 months that I never even thought of, that I haven't heard from anybody in the industry before. And I almost think that even when you're newer, sometimes there are things that you help older photographers with, and obviously that doesn't mean that you can charge as much as them, but that's just what I'm trying to say with that, is that you can always learn from opposite, and that doesn't mean that someone new or someone older should feel like they have like this like level of not superiority, but just like feeling like they're better than.
Yeah,
I don't know,
that's the same.
That anyways,
Superiority.
but when you're starting out, I think don't let the gear that you have make you think that you can charge as much as someone with like so much experience, even if you could teach them something like about something that you know. What I think when I started out, and as far as my pricing, I kind of like looked it up, I googled it, like how much photographers are charging.
Oh, I think I did that too.
And I was like, well, I definitely don't think I can charge that much.
Yeah.
So then I kind of
what was your answer when you googled it?
I think it was
Should we
like,
Google it right now?
Yeah, Google it right now.
What do wedding photographers charge?
Although I saw a freaking thing yesterday, I think, on one of the planners that I follow, and it was like a $250,000 wedding budget, and there was like a breakdown of things, and for the photographers it was like $40,000 budget, and I go, that was the and this was for weddings for 2024 budget, and it was like a client, and then this is how much they spent on this, or how much they are going to be spending on this, how much they're spending on photographers, how much they're spending on videographers. And my eyes were just like, and all the comments, obviously people were like, this is like so unattainable and so unrealistic. And I mean, it is ridiculously expensive, but I do think that some celebrities and some people like are paying that much, if not like way more. But I was just like, a photographer making $40,000 off of one wedding. It's like, wow, you work 4 times and a little bit more, and you're like 6-7 figures right there, and I'm done for the year. For a couple years.
Bro, that's so crazy. Okay, so the Knot, according to the Knot, it says 88% of couples hired a photographer. So not even 100% of couples are even hiring a photographer, which is
crazy.
Doesn't make any sense to me. Making photographers the 3rd most popular wedding vendor or service used. Of that percentage, married couples spent an average of $2,600 on their wedding photographer. This was the 4th most expensive vendor or service paid for by couples.
I feel like that's really weird. That's very low.
Yeah, I think it is pretty low.
So, but I do think that
is definitely the lower end.
Like I would say, like a lot of beginners charge
like 2,000,
around 2,000.
Yeah.
So when I first started, the very first wedding.
Wait, I was just gonna ask, what did you charge your first wedding?
For my very first wedding, I charged like $600, and I think I was there for like 9 hours, and I think I delivered like 1,300 or 1,400 photos.
Oh my god!
And free film.
Free film. Okay.
Free for all.
I charged $700 for my first wedding, and I truly don't remember how many hours I was there for, but it was from like, I think I got there at noon and I was still shooting at like 9 p.m. So I guess 9 hours.
Yeah.
Now but I think I only gave them back probably
right
closer
now.
to like 700 photos maybe. I would have to look at the gallery. I don't know. How do you remember that? I do not remember at all.
I remember.
I'm so sorry if I'm getting that wrong and I did not give you enough photos.
Or if I said that number wrong and I gave you less. But I for sure remember that I was already, so I looked when I was uploading to Pixie Set at the time. It was, I wasn't, I didn't used to separate them by by tabs. I used to just put them like
All
all
in
in
one?
everything. And Pixie set put out a notification saying that there are too many files in this album.
Oh, no way.
And it was already like over 1,000 some photos. So I for sure gave them like over 1,000.
Wow.
And I think it was around 1,300 something. So that's why I remember, because I remember I had to separate. So then literally what I did, even then, I ended up just splitting it in two. So I copy and pasted like half and then and then I said part two. And then I posted the second.
Instead of doing like getting ready.
Yeah, I never did that. But yeah, so that's, and then I kind of just, but that pricing I figured out, I was like, okay, if like photographers who've been in the industry are charging like over $2,000, I definitely can't do that. So how about like, I don't know, like $100 an hour ish, a little bit less.
Yeah.
But what kind of sucked was that the very first one that I ever did, they asked me not to post the wedding.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh.
The very first wedding that I did, and I at the time I was like, oh my god, no, I totally understand it. Like, not everybody wants to be on social media. Like, I was like so understanding of it, and now looking back at it, like that was such a huge like potential business loss for me.
Yeah.
Like that could, because if you think about it, if I post like a wedding and let's say, I don't know, 500 people see it, maybe 2 might want to book me because of it.
Yeah.
That's like already a bunch of money. But if I don't post those, then that's like nothing.
Yeah.
So I feel like I didn't look at it that way, but because obviously I was just like figuring it all out. There were so many like moments like that. So that kind of circles back to like the contract that we were talking about. Like, it's all these like little situations that made me realize like, oh crap, this needs to be added in. And I think that's where like I would tell you like, wait, you need to add this in, because like I don't want you to run into the situation that I did.
Yeah.
At least you'll be covered. So I feel like I was just, I don't know, I'm also just like, I just tell Carrie everything. And I'm just like, don't make the same mistakes I did.
Yeah. Well, we're doing pretty good so far.
Yeah.
We've made it this far.
We made it this far.
Yeah. Nux, bro.
Nux.
Love you.
Love you more.
Well, I feel like this was a great episode, and hopefully this, same as last one, like hopefully something we said resonates with someone or taught you something.
Yeah.
That's the goal. That's always the goal.
Are we wrapping up the horror story?
Oh, yeah. Here. I'm going to let you read this. This is the last thing. So I posted on my story to like send us whatever. I went over this at the beginning of the episode. So I have one more. Chloe's going to read it for us.
I'm excited to read it.
And she did end up messaging me a little bit more detail.
I'm excited.
But here's the one horror story we got.
Do I click on here?
No, it's up already. Just read it.
This is it?
Yes. Oh, wait. Yeah, that's it.
I missed this for the horror episode, but someone pooped on the dance floor. That's the...
Let me show you her DM.
Oh my gosh.
I was like,
someone pooped
what?
On the dance floor?
What?
Like through the
Someone
pants?
shit on the dance floor.
Okay, but see,
she said,
love to know the details.
She said, yes, someone pooped on the dance floor and people danced on it without knowing until we realized and had to clean it up. It was early in the party too. How do you bounce back from that? It was insane.
You're so lucky that I'm not in my second trimester, and
why
you guys are really lucky that I'm not in my second trimester, because I'd be
you
throwing up from this.
Oh God, I'm sorry.
No, I'm so good now, but holy shit, literally shit. Actual shit. Oh my God. But okay, did you ask this person and say like, was it like through the pants, or did this person like pull his pants down and like, I would love to know.
I'm assuming someone pulled their pants down.
No.
Because if it was like a clean shit on the dance floor and people are like dancing around, stepping in it, it wasn't like someone pooped themselves and are like running around with poop in their pants now.
Yeah, but...
Right? Which has happened to me before, and I'll share on another episode. I've shit myself multiple times as an adult, unfortunately.
Oh, Carrie.
But my stomach just doesn't like me. But if people were dancing on it it was definitely like not just stuck in someone's pants.
But if someone took a shit in the middle of a dance, or somebody had to see that, and because people are all on the dance floor, right? Then you know not to step there because you saw it come out. However, if it fell through the pants or something, then you don't see it, and then you're stomping all over it. So this is where I would love some more detail.
Okay, we're going to need more context. I'll follow up with more context on the poop story.
Yeah, because
next episode.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I get.
Or am I just overthinking
No.
things?
I get where you're coming from.
Thank you.
Well, anywho, guys, thank you so much for tuning in for another episode with me and Chloe, kicking our boots off.
Hope you guys enjoyed.
I've loved having you.
I loved being here. Thank you for letting me be here.
You're so pregnant. Hopefully next time we record this is definitely before the baby is here.
Yes.
And then maybe we'll do another episode with baby.
Oh, he can be like right there.
He can hang out with us.
I'll breastfeed. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna. I'll be like, so
super casual. Anyways, all right. Well, leave me some reviews. Send me emails. I'll talk to you guys next time.
Adios.
Adios.